As we have the mayor's blessing, here's another video from last night that made us raise our eyebrows. You can see Portland police spray painting the back of cars that were parked downtown last night. They were just downtown. Kristen Severin's looking into that for us. And I guess, Kristen, this is actually a tactic that police use?
I guess it is. I mean, this is something we have not seen in Portland. And that video had a lot of people asking questions. People wanted to know, is this even legal for police to tag cars, to spray paint cars? And at least one expert told me that he believes this could be a violation of the Fourth Amendment. The video posted to Twitter shows a Portland police officer spray painting the bumper of a silver hatchback. The same officer then walks over and tags the bumper of a car parked with their hazard lights on. Portland Police Chief Jamie Resch said people in those cars were spotted handing out weapons and other items to protesters.
We have attempted to stop some of the vehicles in the past couple of days, and they have fled. This places protesters and police in extreme danger. We have employed a strategy to increase public safety to identify those vehicles involved in criminal activity. We have deployed stop sticks in some instances, and we have also used marking as a method so we can identify the vehicles to stop them at a later time. This seemed like the least intrusive way to accomplish our goal of life safety.
But people still had a lot of questions. Is this vandalism? Is it legal? Is this a violation of the Fourth Amendment? Lewis and Clark professor Ted Yin is an expert in criminal procedure and search and seizure law.
If I were a lawyer in this case, I would rather have the side of the car owner than the side of the police.
He said while no judge in Oregon has ever ruled on police spray painting cars, a federal appeals court in the Midwest ruled that chalking tires when officers use chalk as a way to enforce parking violations could be a violation of the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment is the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizures.
It doesn't mean it's per se unlawful, but what it means is the police need to be able to justify the search for Fourth Amendment purposes, which typically means you have to show there's probable cause to believe a crime has been or is being committed, and you have a warrant.
So if using chalk could be considered unlawful, it could be argued in court that spray paint is too. We asked Portland police if this was a one-time thing or if officers will continue tagging cars in the future. We're still waiting on an answer.
So let's not forget here how many layers there are to this situation. These are police actions at a protest where people are protesting the police. That's what we're looking at right now.
Right, and there's so many questions, Maggie. I mean, like Professor Yin said, if the police had a reason to tag that car, to spray paint that car, then why not do more? Why not arrest the person or cite the person? And, do the people in the car know why they're being tagged? And, the answer that I'm waiting to hear, that I want to know, is this just a one-off thing? Was this just a one-time thing? Or is this something that the Portland police will continue to do? And we're still waiting on that answer.
All right. Well, like the mayor said, we'll keep holding them accountable. Kristen.
Absolutely.